Meeting, I have to read this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The Plaistow Trash and Recycling Advisory Committee, due to COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, is authorized to meet electronically, and these reasons shall be reflected in the minutes. The Plaistow Trac is utilizing the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during the meeting through the Zoom program, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting. There is no physical location to view this meeting. The link to access this meeting is provided on the town's website. All members of the public participating in this remote access meeting must state their name and the address for the record. The public can also send emails with questions or concerns prior to the meeting to dvos@plaistow.com. Please note any written correspondence to the Trac will be read into the record. And I guess we'll do roll call.
Okay. Isabel Gautreau?
Here.
I just need you to state that, thank you. There you go. Richard Kincaid. Robert Kincaid. I'm going to try to get the names right tonight.
Not
Richard
yet.
Anthony.
He's connecting right now.
Oh, there he comes. Okay. Deborah Esparza, St. Louis.
Here.
Kelly Fox.
Here and alone.
Oh, thank you. And you're alone as well?
Yep.
Thank you. Marianne Little.
Here and alone.
Marianne Lacasio.
Here and alone.
Jay DeRoche.
Here and alone on my little island.
Looks nice. Richard's getting there.
So as of right now, you have 6 voting members this evening.
Oh,
there he
Bob
goes.
Kincaid
Bob's
too.
coming. Okay. There's Bob. Bob might be frozen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
We can, but it keeps freezing.
Test.
Richard,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
All right. I'm probably going to have to call in on my phone because it's kind of iffy connection here.
Sounds pretty clear right now.
Oh, we'll see if I disappear.
We don't have a picture, but we're just doing roll call. So you're here.
Okay. I'm here
Are you alone?
and alone.
Thank you. See, it makes me to feel better to let me know that everybody else is alone too.
Well, the dog's with me too.
Oh yeah, I guess I should call my dog in then, right? 2 dogs.
We're not alone. We're all in this together.
I know.
Bob is back.
Can you guys hear me?
Still kind of choppy. And delayed. There's a delay echo.
Bob, can you call in from your phone?
I tried that. It looks fine on my end. Yeah, it's choppy for you guys.
Mm-hmm. 8 people nodding.
Apologies for that. Try that. Actually, I don't know where my phone is.
Or just turn off video.
That would work too.
How's this any better? How's the audio?
Same.
You sound like a robot.
I would suggest that for anybody who's on a laptop or other device that has the option of using a wired connection as opposed to wireless, that would be something you might want to look into, again, if it's an option. Or if you know that you can move to a different location that might be closer to your wireless access point, that might help out as well.
While we wait, we can, I guess, review and approve the meeting minutes. Did anybody have anything to add?
You need a motion before you have the discussion.
Oh, sorry. I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second it, Richard.
Thank you.
No discussion?
Just that we covered a lot.
Yes, we were busy. Shall we vote?
Would you like me to call the roll?
Please.
Isabel Cottrell?
Yes.
Robert Kincaid? He's on mute.
Yes. Yes.
That you're voting yes for the minutes?
Yep.
Thank you. Richard Anthony?
Yes.
Deborah Esparza St. Louis?
Yes.
Kelly Fox?
Yes.
Marianne Little?
Yes.
Marianne Lacasio?
Yes.
Thank you. Your vote is 7-0-0.
We're efficient. Okay, so. Okay. First thing we have is
Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by
the NRA info that Kelly put together for us. So she sent us a ton of information. Do you want to summarize?
Sure. So on March 12th, I spoke with, her name was Bonnie Bethune, and she was super helpful, super nice, because I was very slow understanding all the information and acronyms she was using. But she was really helpful. She said that Plaistow actually was a member back in the day, I think back in like 1996. And she gave me a list of some of the other towns and cities that are members, such as Atkinson and Danville, Sandown, Hampstead. They're all members of the NRA. And I asked her the main question we had about is, you know, does Plaistow need a transfer station in order to get any type of services from them? And she said, no, they work with all towns, even ones that have, you know, the manual pickup for recycling. And she said, so I was trying to ask what are some of the benefits that we'd get. She said, for example, there's a 2-day conference, which would be about $300, and that's free to members. She said, she sent out the member list, which is usually just for members. It's the market pricing guide. She sent it for 2020 and for 2021, which lists the prices of all the different things such as paper, aluminum. And she said, you know, if Plaistow was going to try to recycle, you know, something separate, like for example, she gave the example of cardboard. She said if Plaistow was to get a baler and try to sell cardboard, the price of cardboard is actually going up significantly.
Oh, can you get kids to get off of all the screens and everything?
They're not on.
They're probably using stuff all over the place.
So she, in the email, she wrote how like the price of mixed paper has gone down like from 20 to 21, but the price of cardboard has gone up significantly. Where you can get about $45 to $65 a ton. So she was saying if Plaistow was going to recycle anything separate, she would put us in the contacts with the right people. She also gave a list of other towns that are going through the same, or just recently went through the same process of contracting with the RFPs. So there's 3 names she gave in the email. Kyle Fox over at Merrimack. She said they just went through an RFP for single stream and can probably give us some guidance if we had questions. She gave us a name, VJ Ranfos over at Public Works in Pembroke. She said they have a similar population as Plaistow, and also a contact over in Bow, Tim Sweeney. She also gave a list of her suggested RFPs, who to work with, such as E.L. Harvey, Casella, Pinar, JRM. So I thought she was very helpful. I think it might be a good idea to be a member. I know it's probably more up to the Board of Selectmen, but she said she'd be willing to come to one of our meetings, because I feel like other people here may have more specific questions than I did. So she's willing to come to a meeting, or if anybody wanted to email her or send questions to me, and I could be the contact with any questions we had. So sorry to ramble. This is my summary.
That was nice. So the additional recycling stuff, how does that work? Do they get us a container and then we collect it and they sell it, or put us in touch with somebody that takes it?
I don't know. After I got off with her, I was wondering how that exactly works. I don't know exactly. I think she said if Plaistow had a place when we were willing to get a baler and we just wanted to collect cardboard, but I don't know. After I got off, I'm like, I don't know the logistics of exactly how it gets there and all that. But it sounded like a good idea.
So that's something that we could ask for. And then I noticed that there wasn't any glass on there.
On the market list?
Yeah. Maybe I missed it. Oh, no, there is. Fluorescent
Yeah,
bulbs
glass PGA.
So that was interesting. And she said, based on how many residents we have, it would be about $536 a year, approximately. We'd have to get the exact number of residents. But just her knowledge of like who to connect with and who's going through the same process, so we could ask about what size barrels, other cities are using with a similar population. And she was really quick with figuring it out.
And it sounded like she had some information about how you would go about requesting RFPs and negotiating contracts, that even if we don't get her to speak to the Board of Selectmen, she could speak to, whoever writes the RFP or does the negotiations, and that might still be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, what do you think?
I think so.
I do think it's a good idea to be part of these organizations. We're part of multiple organizations for different reasons, to help provide resources and training for our committee members as well. So I think it would be a good idea, and it may be outside of like the trash and recycling recommendations. You guys come up with a recommendation and I can bring it to the Board of Selectmen to become a member, and we would have to vote on that. So.
What we
Kelly,
could do.
Sorry. Kelly, did they talk about education and outreach? Do they have any programs for that?
They have a whole program for the schools anyway, to help schools set up schools recycling clubs, and they give a bunch of resources and recommendations and acknowledgement. So yeah, that's a whole other piece of what they do.
Thank you.
Sure. And I didn't contact the contacts that she gave us because I didn't know if somebody else on our team was already reaching out to people. So I didn't want to overlap. And plus I know more about the education and the school piece. Sort of the RFP pieces, somebody else might be better suited to ask those questions. I was still Googling tippage and tonnage and cafeteria plans and as she's talking. But I would definitely recommend being a member personally. Even just the conversation and the email she sent was practically worth the money right there. And if anybody did want to go to the conference, that's in May. So I don't know if we'd be members before May or not, but I'm sure they have annual meetings. So it could be next year.
So our next meeting is May 13th.
if this is something you guys would like me to bring to the selectmen at Monday's meeting, I can do that. And
Can
see
I
if we
make-
can get that expedited and potentially attend that conference. So
I like that idea. Is this something where we would, like somebody could motion to bring this forward to the Board of Selectmen? And if that's the case, I make a motion to bring this to the Board of Selectmen.
I second that. Kelly, you're on mute.
I have a sniffly nose, so I kept putting it on mute. Would it be specifically to recommend that the town become a member of NRRA?
That is my recommendation for the motion, yes.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, who was the second?
Kelly.
Thank you.
And she was very open, like I said, to coming to a meeting, or if we have specific questions, if we need more information, she's very open.
Are you ready to vote?
Yes.
Isabel Gautreau?
Yes.
Robert Kincaid?
Yes.
Richard Anthony?
Yes.
Deborah Spaza St. Louis?
Yes.
Kelly Fox?
Yes.
Marianne Little?
Yes.
Marianne Lacasio?
Yes.
Your vote is 7-0-0.
So now we can have a discussion, right? So if Jay makes the recommendation on Monday, would the recommendation be that that they review the materials or what NRRA is? Maybe one of us should go and present the material that we have, or Jay, would you do that?
Well, the agenda's already been set for Monday. I can bring this up as part of the other business. I can talk to the chair and maybe see if we can get someone from the committee to join and talk about that. So let me reach out to him tonight, and I can see if we can get you guys set up. Otherwise, it would be, I could bring it up and speak about it and, make the motion. I'm not saying it would happen. The board might want to have them come in and do a presentation to them prior to making that decision as well. So let me talk to the chair and see how he wants to proceed, if he wants to have you guys there on Monday or someone from the committee.
So who could make it on Monday?
I know, I'm not sure if I could make it on Monday.
Okay, I could. So if they want somebody there, I can be there.
Okay, so I'll find out either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll email you in regards to Monday.
Okay. And would we want this person to perhaps come to our next meeting and ask questions or answer some of our questions, or should we wait to see what happens with the BOS meeting first?
Would it be possible to have that email from that contact forward to each person?
It was.
Okay.
Let's
see, 4 things, or is that from another email?
There was 4 emails in total with attachments, right?
Yeah, this would have been back in March.
Yeah. This would have was on
March
Friday.
30th.
These were part of the ones I sent out on Friday.
Yeah.
I sent everything that had been sent to me got sent out on Friday, and a couple of things got sent out on Monday, Tuesday, and today.
I see the email from Dee on March 30th that it's called NRRA Market Guides and Info, and below it has her whole email.
Okay, I see it.
Is my audio any better now?
A little bit.
No.
It's not great.
Fine, I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
Oh, that sounded a little better.
Yes, it's not as bad as it was.
I was going to suggest, could we make a motion that we ask that they come to present at our next meeting a month from now, contingent on the board saying yes, so we don't need to meet or discuss again, but assuming the board agrees with our recommendation to become members, then we proceed and ask them to come present at our meeting.
That doesn't need to be a motion. You can just decide you want them to be put on the agenda.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the agenda tentatively. You know, we can always cancel it, but that way we have the time allocated and we don't lose another month.
And how does that go with inviting somebody from outside? Like, should I email her, or does Dean send a link, or?
I need to have an email address from her to where she would like her Zoom invite to be sent.
Okay.
Or she can access the public link at the time of the meeting.
Okay.
Either way.
I can let her know. That's May 13th at 7 p.m.
And I didn't see any of the emails from Kelly with the information on the NRRA. Could you forward that to
Same
me?
here. I didn't get anything on that either.
So I
Not
can
on the
just
30th.
sift through the information.
There was one sent out. There were two emails sent out on April 1st. No, April 2nd, last Friday. Some people did not get the second one, so I resent that one again yesterday, I think. And then I sent another one yesterday with some information and one today, but I can resend it. I just resent, I'll resend the first two.
Okay.
To everybody.
Thank you.
And hopefully that'll help.
Okay, so if we have that squared away, I think the next thing that we have on the agenda is the question about the cards. And some of us did some homework to survey neighboring cities. There was that spreadsheet that was sent around, and I will share my screen so you can see it here live too. So if you look at it that way, there's a couple. So Sandown has a transfer station, so that's not really what we're doing. Exeter had the pay-as-you-go, Raymond had the pay-as-you-go, which I think we decided that's not what we're doing this go around. But then the other towns did have cards and they had curbside pickup. So I'll give everybody a minute to digest it. Can you see how much? Yeah, can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
For Danville and Atkinson, does that mean they were able to choose between a 64 or a 96, or we're just not sure which they have?
They could choose.
They could choose.
Right. So there was a couple towns where you had the choice, and there was always the option to get additional cards, either for pay or free of charge.
And did Atkinson buy them outright, or did they lease them through the vendor, the trash hauler?
I am not sure.
Okay.
I think the common theme I see in here are choices and a little bit of flexibility. I think Bob was the person who was mostly, trying to dive into those numbers and working with the recommendations.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like a mailer of what you wanted, and if you didn't reply what you wanted, you would get a 64 gallon or 65 gallon, whatever that was. That was my understanding.
We had made a motion with what we were going to recommend, right?
I thought so.
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
Yeah.
I agree with Marianne. That's what I recall.
should we take a minute and go pull up the minutes and just everybody recap where we landed on that? I think we broke it out into 4 different motions. One
All
just
in the minutes.
confirm that we're doing a new contract and we're planning to do carts for both trash and recycling. Another part was to confirm the intent to purchase our own carts for the town and then distribute. And then I think the third piece was agreement that we were going to go with the larger size totes across the board for recycling, and then leave an option for trash.
With a default of 64 gallons for no responses.
Yep. I'm just reading this again.
Has anybody talked to Danville or Atkinson just to see how that process went? I've just been thinking about it the last couple of weeks and wondering, because I love the idea of the flexibility and the choice. I'm just wondering with gathering the data and, you know, giving out the barrels and then people saying, oh, I wish I had a smaller one. I wish I had a bigger one. I'm just wondering if that worked out well or not.
So I think it all depends on what the town goes with. So in the case of the 96 gallon carts that have been contracted for purchase already, that's, you know, that's what we'll have. If the town, the selectmen or the work to go with another situation like that, where we just go and buy a bunch of carts, that would be the sizes that we distribute. Now, if we were to go with a lease option with the vendor, then they would do all the legwork of, you know, they may only provide one size. They may have the option for you to purchase, not purchase, but have a 96 as opposed to a 65. So that would be something that would be worked out probably on the vendor side. But if the town were to purchase their own set of carts, then we'd probably have to do something like a mailer to see what people would prefer, or because we would need to have an exact number of what to purchase, or a roundabout number of, you know, a mixture of not 65 and 96 or whatnot.
So we agreed with the first bullet point here, the 96 gallon carts that already have an open PO, those would effectively just be used for recycling. Maybe we requested a blue, which we can probably still do. And then the open question would be for the second bullet point here, which is trash. Open question, we didn't make a final decision on the size. Partly, I think it's easier to not mix models if we're going to go with a town-owned model for recycling bins at 96 gallons. Then it makes sense to me, at least, to also go with a town-owned option for the carts that we would then use for trash. It's just, you know, we're not mixing models, having one version where they're owned and one version where they're leased. Personally, I would advocate for doing all the same. And since we've already planned to purchase what we need, which are going to be used for recycling, I think we're halfway there with the second question, which is, can we plan to purchase what we need for trash? And then the only question is, do we want to proceed with that mailer to determine, to give residents the option of 96 or 64? And maybe that's where we leave it, and we can take those resolutions to the board and ask those questions and see if we can get a sense from them on the trash question. Do they like the mailer idea to give people flexibility and choice? And then we just issue that trash cart PO down the road based on the results of the mailer.
And just one other thing to consider is that if a lease option was on the table, a lot of those companies will do a 5-year lease, and at the end of the 5 years, the town can purchase them for $1 each and own them. So just something to consider when you come up with those or talk about that. So
But that means we're locked in for 5 years with that company.
Well, yeah, if that, generally that would probably be the length of the contract.
If not more.
If not more, or if it were 3 years, then we, you know, it could be a potential lease over the 3 years, but I don't think they do the 3s. We might, but that's all on the recommendations that come out of this committee. If it, you know, and if the selectmen do those recommendations or go forward with all those recommendations. So.
I don't like the idea of being locked into something for a really long time right now, because it is the worst time to negotiate recycling, and it could get worse, but I really see it getting better in 3 years.
And that can be one of our recommendations, is a 3-year contract. I mean, we don't want to do this again next year, so.
I agree that I think there has to be some term limit, because to get the vendors to want to work with us. But I think also, given the market, it makes sense to do for 3 years as opposed to 5 or more. Even we could potentially lock in at a lower rate, that could go both ways, given the uncertainty, just do the 3. So I as far as to make a motion to add on to what we saw on that other screen, part 1 to recommend a town purchase lease, just to keep it simple. So we're doing the same with the trash carts as we are with the recycling. And then a secondary recommendation that we send out, well, we have a 3-year lease, so that's part 2, and part 3 would be that we send out a mailer to determine 64 or 96 on the trash size. So 3 parts, 3 motions. That makes is where we want to go.
I think you were breaking up there.
About half of what you said.
I think what he said was that we want to keep things simple. We don't want to say lease the recycling carts, because we already are locked into the purchased carts that we have. And in hindsight, it might have been better to have a lease, but that ship has sailed. So we don't want to confuse things more. So the recommendation would be to purchase the carts, that we would go with a 3-year limit for the contract, and that we would send out a mailer. The contract for trash and recycling for the RFP, and that we would send out a mailer to determine what size people would want. And by default, it might be the 64, 65 gallon, but you can get a 96 if you want a bigger one. I personally think that flexibility is really important. And if people need a second cart for either recycling or trash or both, they need the option to have that.
So
my only concern is
with the carts. So we're purchasing right now the 96 gallon carts. And if we were to go with a trash and recycling automated option, we need to purchase another 3,000 carts. So there's going to be a separate contract. So on the action item list, I had something I had to find out if we could work on the contract. That ship has sailed. So that contract is all sealed, done. We would need to create a new RFP for a new set of carts. And that would be outside of the trash. So just so that we're all on the same page, we need 6. Right now we have 3,000 or 3,200 carts. We're going to need another 3,000, 3,200. So if we are going to purchase them, we need to know the mix of sizes. But you know, the Board of Selectmen might just turn around and go, we only want one size. But also, if you want to buy extra carts, we will also need to account for that in the counts. So if people want to purchase an extra cart, we will have to purchase more. So like 3,200, it only gives us, I think we have 2,900 residential households. So it gives us about 300 or 400 to play with, to give people extra carts if they request them. This is just information to consider when you're making your recommendations. So if the recommendation is to purchase another 3,200 carts, then that's the recommendation.
Yeah, I think we had said last time that the 96 gallon is definitely, we need the biggest thing for recycling that you can get, because it's light, it's cardboard, it's empty plastic bottles and things like that. But to wield around a 96 gallon with trash in it might be impossible for some people. So
right, exactly.
I'm not subscribed to the idea of having all one size carts just because it's easier to manage.
And what I'm saying with the trash carts, I'm not saying to get 96. That's I'm with you on what you're saying there. The 96 gallon trash barrel full of trash is going to be heavy for anyone to move around. So it's, you know.
Right.
My only concern is,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just wondering when the contract with the barrels would need to be done, because I'm just trying to, time wise, we'd have to get this flyer out and it would have to come back. All the data would need to be collected to figure out what we'd actually need to buy.
Well, the contract for the barrels would probably be developed, or not, the RFP would be generated by the town manager probably alongside the trash and recycling RFP that he's going to put together to put out for RFP as well. So that would be something that would be included in the recommendations from this committee to the Board of Selectmen so that when we decide that we either are doing those recommendations, then we can tell the town manager, we want you to put together an RFP for a contract for the other carts. So
okay,
that would be, in the first meeting I talked about a timeline and about getting those recommendations to the selectmen, so that we can start work on the proposals and the RFPs and all that. So
right, and we had said we want to move the timeline up so that we have more time on the end, right? So today was going to be the day that we come up with those numbers. I like the Atkinson option where they give you the most flexibility. You can have either 96 or 64 and you can get additional ones. We're locked in to the 96 for recycling, right? But, oh, sorry, what happened?
Has anybody spoken with Atkinson or Danville? I'm just really curious if they're glad they went with the option or if they wish they just stuck with one. Because I know me, all week I've been looking at every barrel to say, is that a 96? Is that a 64? Would this fit in my garage? You know, could my mother move this up the driveway? And I just, with 3,000 residents, I just wonder if there would be a lot of, oh, I got the wrong one. Can I switch it? And dealing with that, I'm just wondering if it might be simpler to pick a size and go with it. So I'm just curious if Atkinson and Danville, if that worked for them or not. And don't get me wrong, I like the flexibility. I'm just wondering if it would complicate things.
I do think that if somebody really didn't like their barrel, they could always go with the option to buy an additional one and then not use the one that they don't like. They could give it to a neighbor or just not use it.
Yeah.
I hope my audio is okay. It seems like with Atkinson, they gave them an option for both trash and recycling. I would propose that we only give an option for trash. So the default, everyone gets a larger 96 gallon for recycling. That for those, we would use the PO that's already been cut.
I totally agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just the second part where we give them an option. So we're not, So, my opinion is we should give them the option on the trash, because people are going to complain either way. They're going to say they didn't get enough, they want the bigger one, or they're going to say it's too big and they can't, and it's unwieldy.
Right.
So we're giving them the option, and I think that's the way we pitch it to the Board of Selectmen. Is we say, you know, recommendation is we're going to be seeing a lot of complaints if we don't give them the option on the trash. And explain that for recycling, there is no option because that's much bulkier and lighter weight, and it's going to default to 96.
Isabel,
I
can
agree
I
with
share?
that. Maybe I'm jumping ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's Mary Ann. Can I just,
Go ahead.
I'm probably jumping ahead. My wheels are turning. And I'm thinking this, whatever we're sending out to say, you know, giving the option of 96 or 64, I think it would be really helpful to say empty this weighs whatever the poundage is. So people had an idea. Does that make any sense? Because I heard that those 96 gallon ones weighed, I think, over 30 pounds empty.
So I was going to say, can I share my screen? I just did a quick Google search, and there's, just to give like Kelly a visual. Am I allowed to do that? Okay.
Please.
And so this is, can you guys see it? So this is, I guess, the 96 here versus 64. It's saying it gives you the depth. It doesn't give you how much it weighs, but 30 inches wide versus 25 inches wide. I guess here's another visual of it on the curb. We could call, I suppose, the vendors and just see how much they weigh. I think that's probably a question that might be good for everybody, but just to give everybody here a visual, I mean, 96 does look big, but I'm also in agreement that that's the one you want for recycling to kind of, I don't know, prod
Also,
people or push people along. Yep. So right, yeah, that's the one we bought. So yeah.
We actually have 296 for our recycling, and a lot of time we fill them up both. So they're not that heavy because the wheels, it's balanced just right, so it's easy to push. But I'm not a senior citizen.
Does anyone know anyone in Atkinson or a neighboring town where we could go? I'm trying to think if we could get one or a few. Maybe we just go with the companies and have them do it that way. Because I think if we do the flyer, and if we say on the flyer, you know, we include that picture. I like the first picture that was there. And then in addition, we say there's samples down at the town hall and at the library, and people can go and check them out before they make.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because I found I wanted to like stand next to it to see how big it is, or is it going to fit in my garage? You know.
Yeah.
I needed to see it.
Actually, if we do the town hall, it makes it even easier. They take a trip to the town hall, they bring their flyer with them, they check out their sample, and they drop it right off while they're there.
Genius.
Yep, I love that idea.
But I like that picture. Maybe we just need to, there might be some image permission with that. We might need to take our own photo so that there's no image permission issue if we're going to include it in the flyer.
Vendor probably has some pictures.
So is there any more discussion? There was 3 parts to that motion. One is, what was one? What did you said it a minute ago, Isabel?
It was to go with a default of a 64 gallon for trash, but people would have the option to choose a 96 for the mailer.
Yep.
The 96 gallon would be for recycling.
Yep.
And people would have the option to buy additional carts if they need them.
Choose what they want for the carts.
Right. Something like
3-year contract.
3-year. That was the other piece. Thank you.
Would the flyer be able to say how much the carts would be, or we really wouldn't know that yet, I guess, because we don't know what vendor we're going with? People might ask.
There may be a
approximate.
different price between a bulk
Raise-
buy
raise
and an
the tent.
individual buy too.
Correct.
Jay knows.
No, I was gonna ask another question, but
Oh.
I'll wait.
So I thought for the residents, the initial cards would be free, right? That's paid for
Yeah.
by taxes.
Yeah.
And only the new ones, the additional ones, they'd have to pay for.
Right. I was just wondering if they'd ask how much they are, if there's a
Oh.
range, or I guess we just say to be determined. With the new vendor.
Danville is $200. Atkinson is $85 for recycling and $150 for trash.
And if the town were to purchase them, we would set the rate that we would sell them probably. If we did a lease program, the vendors usually have a pricing scale for the different size carts. So in some of the RFPs we went through last year, the proposals, I saw them as low as $85 a cart. So, but others were as high as 150 to 175. So just to give you some ideas. So it'd be an additional cost to the consumer.
Sorry, but can I ask, there was a second to the motion?
All of them? Sure. Yes, I second.
Thank you.
The one question I had was you were talking about a 3-year contract. Would it, if vendors are doing, and I'm sure they are, the 3-year contracts, as far as cost is concerned, would it, would a 3-year or a 5-year or a 10-year be, would it be more cost effective as well? So just something to consider when you're considering the length of the contract. I know, we don't want to get tied into long-term contracts and they can be good and they can be bad. So just something to consider.
This is Richard. In terms of a recommendation, do we want to just, have a directive or recommendation to the town manager to negotiate the most advantageous contract as possible, but also take into account, the idea that long-term versus short-term? I mean, it's, in terms of negotiate, it's sort of a negotiating imperative that we just want to say that do the best deal you can get.
Right, and that would be, and once we take these recommendations and give our direction to the town manager, that's exactly what we would intend on doing is, negotiate us the best contract we could possibly get,
So does that mean like we would make a contract saying, hey, we'll stay with you for 5 years or 10 years, but we want to renegotiate the prices within that time period with the same company?
Well, and that's verbiage that we can put into the contract as well as, if the market changes for recycling,
right.
can we look at renegotiating, the tonnage or tippage for that, so that's stuff that can be worked out in the detail of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we discussed last year when we were talking about that as well. So that is on the radar to, account for that.
So it would be 3-year contract with the option to go longer, but renegotiate with the same company after 3 years?
I agree with Jay that we definitely have to look at the pricing. I mean, if the prices are much higher for a 3-year contract versus the prices, for a 5 or a 10-year contract, they have to take that into consideration.
So when Richard was saying, you know, give them the option for the best price, I feel like we know we're almost certainly gonna get a better price with a 10-year than a 5-year, and we're gonna get a better price on a 5-year than a 3-year, I would imagine.
Right.
So if we leave that choice and just base it on best price, it would be 10-year. But the recommendation that I think we want to highlight to the selectmen is there's uncertainty here, which is why maybe we want to have them consider going with a 3-year, even if it's more expensive, just because we don't know what the future holds and we want to leave our options open. So maybe this shouldn't be in our recommendation at all, but maybe there's a way to just say, you know, in the RFP, do a 3, a 5, and a 10. And then when the decision comes down, we'll make the decision based on, you know, weighing pros and cons of a longer contract, better pricing versus shorter contract, and potential ability to change it in 3 years.
I feel like the NRRA person is going to tell us that, right? That would be the best person to ask. The length of
I think, yeah, she would either know or she would know the contacts who to put us in touch with that might know the answer. Yeah.
So maybe we don't vote on that tonight.
I guess what I was saying is just that in terms of contract length and things like that, that's all going to be part of the, you know, I guess the negotiation once you see the, you know, what it's going to cost and things like that. So it's, you know, I don't think we want to be gaming the, you know, market trading on recyclables contracts.
Right.
So we're not going to make a recommend on a contract term, but we might just, we might just mention that to the Board of Selectmen that's a concern we have, and let that land where it lands.
I think that makes sense. It's just that if there's a range of options, the imperative is going to be to pick the best, whatever constitutes the best in terms of something that's you're locked in for a lower price, or, you know, something that's not too short term because, you know, that's going to probably be volatile, I would think.
Maybe the recommendation would be to consult with the NRRA on the contract duration. Then they have a reason to talk to them.
Do we have a sense of what the other towns have, what their contract lengths are? Like Hampstead or something, or?
I know Atkinson went with a 10-year. So they spread out so just to give you an idea of when they give you the contract, they give you a base rate, and then above that base rate is the fees for the tipping, so the trash and the recycling tipping. So what they did was, by doing a 10-year, they spread out the cost of the base rate increase over the 10 years, and they got a very low rate, like 2% year over year increase on the base rate. What we were seeing for some of the increases on the base rates were between 3.5% and 4.5% per year on a 5-year contract. But that's not to say that we will get a 2% year over year increase on the base rate. So just to give you some more information there. So
What I remember is that Plaistow is the only town that's currently in negotiation for a new contract. Everybody else still had a couple of years. I don't know if any of the new towns that we surveyed were in a similar boat, but I think we're kind of the trailblazers right now.
yeah, Atkinson was like a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2016 or 17, but they're in for 10 years. And maybe Danville is 5 years. So And that was done recently as well. So they might have a couple more years.
So if we're going to leave that off, can we move on to discussion on number 2 and number 3 here and see if we can add these onto the motions from last week? Because I'm concerned about getting these to the selectmen in enough time to do the RFPs.
Just a point of order, if you take off the 3-year term, you basically have the motion you made last meeting.
Well, this is a new piece, which is to specifically say that we recommend that we do a mailer. So that gets added onto it because that wasn't there last week. And then
Right,
the other
and
part is to confirm that we're recommending a purchase for all as opposed to a hybrid where we've got a purchase for some of the carts and a lease for some of the other carts. And so I guess I wanted to see if anybody had an opinion or discussion on either of those two, or thoughts on whether we could add those to the recommend.
on the number 2, can we add the default would be 64 if somebody doesn't fill out the mailer? And then option to purchase additional cards.
That's in our minutes.
Just gonna say, I was just looking up the minutes here, and you do have the recommendation for the mailer with the default of the 64.
Yeah, and we voted on that.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, and then was this in there?
No,
don't
we
recall
didn't
that
talk
one.
about that. But number 2 was in there.
Okay. Number 1, we're not going to add because we're going to leave that open. Number 2 was already in there. And then number 3 is, I think, a question.
Well, we moved to recommend that there be weekly curbside trash collection using the cart model with the size of the cart to be determined by a mailer with a default size TBD established for no response. So the default size piece is new.
Yep. So just add the word add the default piece for number 2, and for number 3, add the recommendation, or maybe we need to discuss. Do we want to recommend a purchase for trash carts in addition to the purchase that's already out for recycling carts?
Oh, wait, there was a motion later, 64 gallon being the default for.
I'm sorry, if we're discussing a new motion, we need to withdraw the first one, please.
So I make a motion to withdraw the
No,
first
the
motion on
maker of the motion has to withdraw, and the second has to agree to withdraw.
Oh, trying.
We're just a mess today.
So I made this motion, right?
Yes.
So which one is it? Number 2?
No, you need to withdraw your whole entire motion and now make a new motion.
Okay.
The first one.
Your motion.
Is the second withdrawn as well? I believe it was
Isabel.
Ms. Goodrow, yes.
Right, the 64 gallon default was in a
Well,
later
hold on,
motion.
hold on. Are you withdrawing
to
your
withdraw
second
it.
on the first motion?
Yes, I was.
Thank you. Now you can make a whole new motion.
Go for it, Bob.
All right. I don't know if I'm ready for the motion. I think I want to just discuss before we call it a motion. It sounded like, Isabel, you said the piece that was missing here was default to 64. That was
There was,
in there too.
there was a later motion that had the default to be 64. But the purchase to the allowing of purchasing of additional carts was not in there.
Okay, so the only thing we need to add is recommendation to purchase, not lease, for the second batch.
And allow additional purchases for households that need more than one cart.
So it's everything highlighted now.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
The question I would have with respect.
Yet,
Can-
but before I do,
Sorry.
pondering doing a motion where we would add that there would be an option to purchase additional as part of the mailer text, and in addition that we would recommend that we purchase, not lease, the second batch of carts. Add those to everything from last week. So
You're not adding anything to last week. That one's all closed out. What you're doing is making a new, fresh motion with what you want to have. You can say adding to the list of recommendations, but you're not adding it to that motion.
right, that's what I meant.
Okay.
I think Richard was also trying to say something.
Yeah, just with respect to the distinction between leasing and purchasing. If we leased them, I'm just rehashing it. If we leased it, the idea is that the vendor would come and drop the barrel off at the houses. That's my understanding. If we purchase it, how is the barrel getting to the houses? What's the mechanism for that?
The PO that's already out there for the first round of 3,000 plus 96 gallons, the company is contracted to deliver those to a central point, and then from there deliver them to each household. So that's already part of the PO that we've already issued. So the idea would be just expand that to an additional set of carts. But in both cases, it would include full distribution to each household as part of the deal.
So nobody has to go for a walk with a cart, regardless of whether they're leased or purchased, correct?
Well, that answers my concerns.
Well, so that's the way the current PO is for a purchase, and the contract with that purchase is the company will distribute to each person's house. I don't know if we were to say go with JRM, or I'm sorry, go with Casella hypothetically, and have Casella own them and lease them from Casella. Would Casella also deliver to Doorside? I assume so, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yes, that's when you're leasing through these vendors, they will perform some type of exercise like we're doing with this current PO. They would ask for us for a place in town where they could deliver them to, and then from there they would deliver them to the residents. So it would be part of their contract to distribute and hand those out to people.
So to me, that's another part of the argument for just having one company to do all the carts, because if we have to deal with, just hypothetically, say Casella for trash carts, and then deal with the separate cart company for these separate carts, that's two separate rounds of full household distribution. And I think it would just be a lot easier if we had one company manage the entire thing, if you know what I'm saying. Logistically, it's just a lot less.
Do we want to add that to the list here, just maybe as like a 3A, that just expressing that sort of sense of the board here?
So I'm going to delete 1 and 2 because they're out.
We make it using the same company if possible, because we don't want to lock that in, right? We probably will get a better deal if we buy all the cards from the same company. But who knows? They might go under.
Does that wording make sense?
Sure. Yes.
Richard, does that cover what you were saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess it's if there's a benefit that we see that for having one company do it, then yeah, I think that's what we want to at least say.
Who did we buy the first set of carts from?
We have that PO. I got it and sent it out at the last meeting. I need to go dig it up.
It's okay. And we're 100% positive that these carts can be used by any of these vendors. There's no new trucks that have a different system. I don't know anything about that.
Was my question too.
Company name was Refrag.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the company name.
I just opened it. It's REHRIG.
Yeah.
Actually, that looks like it's the finance company for it.
No, that's
Okay.
a company.
REHRIG.
Yeah.
All right.
It is possible that the trash and the recycling company would be different companies, correct?
In theory, I think we would leave that open to the town manager as part of the negotiation.
So the question is, if the cards are kind of universal to whatever the company is that's going to collect them, right? I think that probably would be the case, and that probably had been determined previously, because otherwise we wouldn't have bought those cards without having a vendor lined up for it.
Kelly, on the website, it gives all the weights, just so you know.
Hey.
Well, it might be worth just indicating on there, again, intent-wise, that the carts should be vendor independent in some fashion. You know, so it isn't just whatever we have, whoever's going to be doing it should be able to use it.
At one of the Board of Selectmen meetings, wasn't there a vendor that came and said that all the carts were universal for trucks?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was in the notes. So from the last one, I gave that link where they came and talked. We didn't end up purchasing from that company that presented to the board last August. But what he did say was they're all universal. But it's still a cause for some concern, because if we didn't purchase from that company, is there any possibility?
Okay.
I think we're 99% safe, but just to cover that last 1%, we should probably double check it.
Absolutely. I didn't realize that wasn't who we purchased them from.
All right, so is this where we landed? If you guys can all still see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
These are the two motions which I would propose to make if we agree. One is an option to propose to purchase additional trash carts. So basically, we're saying in the mailer, if you want more than the one you're going to get, you can choose a 64 or a 96. You have the option to get a second one, but you have to pay for it. Basically, we would stipulate that in the mailer. And then part two is recommendation that we purchase, not lease, all the carts, so that the second PO to come matches the same as the first, which is a purchase. Recommend that we use the same company if possible. and make note that there's a perceived benefit with logistics and distribution by only having to manage that door side delivery once. So those are the two parts to the motion. If there's no more discussion, I think I would go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second.
You're on mute, Dee.
Can you hold on a second? Let me catch up on the writing.
Do you meet weekly, Jay?
No, we're meeting bi-weekly, but we have a meeting on Monday.
Would it be too late to get these recommendations on that one? And if not, do the one 2 weeks after that?
The agenda is already set and posted. I can reach out to the chair and see if we can, if it's possible, if you guys have your recommendations, all your recommendations set and are ready to, you know, present that to the selectmen, then I would say yes. It might be, you know, you might want to.
Well, I think a week may not make a difference, right? Because we're already asking to squeeze the NRRA question in there. We don't
Right.
want to have you topple over the entire agenda and make everybody come home at 10 o'clock at night. They're not going to like us.
Just because I feel like this is time sensitive, could we meet in 2 weeks?
No, zoning board is in 2 weeks.
Well, we're making these motions, right? So that means their recommendations, and in 2 weeks, they could be presented to the board. We don't have to meet about it again, do we?
Okay.
Right? Is that how it works?
I'm fine with that, yeah.
You vote on them, they're real.
So we vote on these. I'd be happy to present, unless Jay wants to do it, at the meeting 2 weeks from next Monday. And then we go from there.
2 weeks from next Monday? 1 week. On the 19th?
So
They'd
next
be meeting 2 weeks. The 12th and the
12th and the 26th.
26th.
Oh, sorry, okay.
And actually, I'm out of town that week. If I'm going to be on the meeting, it's going to be remote.
for the 26th.
Yeah. But I'll make sure I have my computer so I can attend remotely.
Is there a disadvantage to you not being there live? There shouldn't be, right?
No.
So,
And just to give you guys some context, the last set of recommendations that came from the Trac committee was trash and recycling curbside pickup using a cart program. That was the recommendation, just to give you some context on the last one. So
that's effectively in fewer words what we're saying.
Yeah.
But, we're giving a little bit more detail to it. Yeah.
Yep. No, I like it. So
I think I'm caught up. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Can we vote on this?
If you're ready, I'll be happy to call the roll.
Go for it.
Isabel Gautreau,
Yes.
Robert Kincaid,
Yes.
Richard Anthony,
Yes.
Kelly Fox. Oh, Deborah
Yes.
Esparza, St. Louis, sorry.
Yes.
Kelly Fox,
Yes.
Marianne Little,
Yes.
Marianne Locasio.
Yes.
You vote is 7-0-0.
Good. That was the hard part, I think. Good work, Bob. Okay. Next on the agenda was the transfer station work that Richard had done. And it looks like there's only 2 transfer stations that are available to Plaistow residents. If you can see my screen, those are the ones in yellow.
Before, just to close out on the last bit, how do we get on the agenda for the meeting on the 19th?
I will, I'll call the chair either tonight after this meeting or tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
And talk to them and then talk to him about that. And then I will let you and Isabel know.
Okay, and then unless somebody else wants to do it, I'll plan on attending. So you can put that down as an action item for me, T, is to make a
I just want to note that you said the 19th, it would actually be on the 26th. They meet the 12th and the 26th.
Okay, 26th then.
Yeah.
So action item for me is to just compile that into a couple slides so I can present it or a packet and then go and discuss it and hand it over on the 26th.
What I'd be happy to do if it makes it easier for you is to pull all the motions out of the previous minutes and these minutes and put them into one sheet for you so you have them all in one place.
Even better. Thank you.
Bob, if I can, I'll come and support you, but I'm on vacation that week.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, just wanted to wrap that piece up.
Thank you. Okay, so transfer stations, the only 2 that are available to the public are Raymond, which is a little bit of a hike, but the other one is Georgetown. And Richard, I think that means Georgetown, Massachusetts, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it's about the, roughly the same. I mean, it's 10 miles to the G Mello facility, and I guess roughly the same 10, 11, 12 miles to the Raymond facility, but I don't know how direct that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only caveat is that I think Newton has a transfer station, but it's exclusively for Newton. And, I had asked that, if any other town had an arrangement with them, that would be something that they said that would have to go through the Board of Selectmen there. But it seems that the name that keeps coming up is either the Raymond one or the Georgetown facility.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's bulk items. And I guess if we had an arrangement with, let's say, Casella, and they're the ones that run the Raymond operation. So there might be something a little more beneficial than just merely dropping off bulk items and things like that. Well, I think also if the G Mello, it's the bulk items would be handled by appointment. At least that's the arrangement that they seem to, whoever's using them.
So if anybody has a couch or extra Christmas trash, they could use those transfer stations.
Yes. And I believe they weigh you going in and then weigh you going out, and that's how they charge.
I'm seeing a potential advantage with Casella because both Atkinson, Hampstead, and Danville, if it's owned by Casella, presumably that could be worked into the contract. So all of those would be closer than the open ones in Raymond and Georgetown.
Say that again?
As the town manager is negotiating a contract with these vendors,
mm-hmm.
they could potentially stipulate usage of their existing transfer stations that exist in Atkinson, Hampstead, and Danville. If they're privately owned, we don't need to go through, have our Board of Selectmen talk to their Board of Selectmen, figure it all out. It's just, dear Casella, as part of your contract, we would like you to include usage of those transfer stations.
But they all go to Raymond, right?
Yeah, the transfer stations in Raymond, they all have access to the Raymond transfer station.
Gotcha. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, Raymond is open to the public. I guess both G Mello and Raymond, anyone can go there from the public. The arrangement that Hampstead has, which is interesting, they have Pinard that does their trash removal, but they have a site where you can drop off stuff on a monthly basis. Pinard then moves it, and part of their contract is it's moved and taken to Raymond transfer station. Or by appointment, I think.
It would be nice if somehow further down the line we could finagle getting into the Newton transfer station. But I think at least for now, you know, the concern is that people didn't have a limit on volume and they are going to be. So to give them an option to go to Raymond or Georgetown is at least better than not having a solution for that at all.
So I just have a little tidbit. As you guys were talking, I was looking through my notes. I had spoken to, back in January, I had spoken to a gentleman by the name of Wayne Watchus, and he talked a lot about Raymond and their transfer station. I don't know how accurate, but it says that his contract ends in 1.5 years. I don't know. And he said he said something about no, that's all I have. I just have contract ends in 1.5 years. So I'm not too sure if that's going to be their transfer station. I recall having a conversation with him on the phone and him just saying, we're running out of room. So I don't know if that's limited without people even realizing it. I don't know. Just a tidbit.
What would be ending?
What was that, Bob?
So what is it that would be ending? The contract?
Yeah, I had asked about, what they do. He said there's a dump in Rochester that'll be full in 3 to 4 years. 50% of that trash comes from other states. He gave me some dollar amounts for his trash and whatever. And then I just have this note that says contract ends in 1.5 years. So I can't recall. This was back in January. I don't know if that's even any helpful information.
You're thinking that the transfer station in Raymond is getting full and it's going to close or is not going to be available to us?
That's what I'm wondering. And not that even has anything to do with us at this point. I could clarify that with him. Like I said, this was back in January, just when you're talking the Raymond station. I'm like, God, I remember talking to Wayne.
I think that would be good to clarify. I don't think the transfer station can run out of space because by definition, they don't.
No, the dump part, I think is what he was talking about.
They don't have anywhere to take it.
Yeah.
So in Raymond, they physically have a dump. It's not a transfer station.
So he said, this is what my notes say. I mean, they use the pay as you throw. Then it says dump. Rochester will be full in 3 to 4 years. I don't know if they bring their stuff to Rochester. I will clarify this. I will reach out to him before our next meeting and find out what contract he was telling me about that ends in 1.5 years.
Yeah. Maybe it's if Rochester's going to close in 3 or 4 years, then the Raymond place, which is only a transfer station, isn't going to have anywhere to take it. Therefore, they might have to close too.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll see what he says on that one, because it just, as we were talking, it just was like, oh, I remember that conversation.
Rochester is where is the landfill, where they're disposing
the trash, because he said 50% of it he said 50% of it comes from other states.
I believe that's I think it's the turnkey facility, maybe, or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, turnkey landfill.
If it's just a phone call, it might be worth following up.
I will. I'm sure he talked my ear off. I remembered him in January.
Thank you for sacrificing yourself. So can we report that as an action item?
Sure can. So I'll confirm and clarify on what the contract was that we spoke about. Anything
So
else?
on the Newton transfer station website, it says that the transfer station accepts bulk item from Newton residents and non-residents from Kingston, East Kingston, Southampton. Those are the bulk items. They don't take trash or recycle, but it's just something to note that they are letting outside towns in for bigger items.
Right. So that could be
Yeah, I
something
think
that could be a
that was the
recommendation to the
caveat.
town, is to maybe reach out to Newton to see if there's an opportunity there to use Newton as a drop for bulk items.
I'm happy to do that if you guys need someone.
Could show, whoever was showing the recommendation or the motions from last week, could somebody flip to that again?
Which one?
I don't see it. Oh. One of them, there was a part about that spoke about transfer stations.
I think it was a discussion, and I don't think it was a motion.
No, I think it was just letter F. I was tasked to take a look at who has the transfer
The same
station.
as, I don't remember seeing it as part of what we were looking at earlier.
It was one of the action items that Mr. Anthony had.
Where's the section of this that talks about the motions that we approved?
They're right there in bold.
There's one. There's one.
Oh, there it is. So the one up higher, two separate lines, one for bulk pickup and one for hazard. So basically what that's saying is we're not recommending to stipulate in the RFP anything about bulk pickup or hazardous waste. We're saying we want them to reference it and let each potential vendor come back to us with their own recommendations. And then when they do, we'll have Richard's research in our back pocket ready to reference. So there's nothing we take from that other spreadsheet to add back to the RFPs, because the RFPs right now, we're just recommending that they say, dear vendor, you tell us your recommendation for bulk item. Right?
Okay, I think did Casella do something similar to that, where they at least put it out there that if you went with us, we would give you access to our transfer station, and I don't know if there was any discussion about bulk pickups.
In their RFP from last time, or their proposal from last time, they offered the Raymond transfer station, and they also offered a solution for bulk pickup. So it was a different, you had to pay an hourly rate for the trucks, and it was a higher tipping fee. But typically those bulk pickup events were, once, twice, 3, 4 times a year, and as opposed to a weekly thing that we have now. So, and that was similar to some of the other trash proposals as well.
Thank you.
So Casella just came up with that on their own. We didn't stipulate, please quote on it this way, and that they just came up with it. So I think the way we've got this now is, you know, we'll make it a separate piece of the RFP, recommend that they mention that we have a need for bulk pickup and ask them to come up with their own plan. In the case of Casella, we know what they're likely to do, which is, you know, give us access to the Raymond place. But beyond that, we wouldn't make any specific recommendations on how we use transfer stations or bulk, other than leaving it to them to make a recommendation.
Well, and that might be something we add into the RFP anyway, is to, you know, what, provide a bulk pickup solution. So.
Yep.
Okay, anything else about the transfer station? Our agenda still has quite a few things on it, and it's getting a little bit late. So I'm wondering if we can, I definitely want to talk about the waste zero thing, because if we want to get that person on the agenda for next time, we have to talk about it this time. And I do want to talk about the recycling flyer, because if we don't update it soon, then the year is going to be almost over, and then there's not going to be a point in updating it. Is anybody keen on speaking about the educational materials today? And Old Home Day Table was mine, so that can, it's okay if that doesn't happen. Or does anybody want to talk about that?
I'm fine with that, Isabel.
Okay. Okay, so about the recycling flyer. Actually, there was an email, I can find it, with what JRM had told us. Where is it?
And whoever did that, thank you. That was great information.
Right, that was basically all of the stuff that's a problem right now.
Are we thinking two different, so one mailer with the option on the carts, and then separately this informational flyer, or could we potentially combine them into one?
This is the problem with JRM now. So that's going to be separate from the mailer, which is going to be the business for next year, right? So this is what JRM is having a problem with now. And there's still these flyers on the website. Where is it? That it doesn't have all of that information. So there's this one.
Is that JRM though?
This is a link that I think goes from our website to somewhere, or maybe
that's the one I'm familiar with right there, the green one.
This is the one that I think everybody is familiar with.
Right, that's the one that's on the town website.
Right, so I think that would be the one that we would want to update.
Okay, because that what you're showing right there, that's that email that I had sent out to JRM, and they finally answered me, right? And she answered me all in red. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So that's the good information that we want to get out to people. And we don't necessarily have to send it out to people directly. We can post it on Facebook. We can put it on the website. And then whatever else we can think of, but the information just has to be correct.
Just a question on the part where it says loose shredded materials are not allowed. When they're saying that, are they talking about it being run through a shredder or somebody, you know, manually ripping it up?
Nope, it was shredded documents I asked her about. I shred a lot of documents and I said, you know, can that go in? And she said the loose is not allowed. And this didn't make sense, but she said you could put it in a paper bag and staple it. I don't know how that doesn't gunk up the machine. I'm like, okay, sure, all right. But that's what she told me.
So you can, so what, you can shred it up and put it into a paper bag?
Paper bag is what she described to me. Shredded paper in a sealed, she said tape or staple it is the best way to recycle that shredded paper.
And then when that bag gets thrown in the back of the truck, that compressor really, that paper bag will hold up against the compressor,
That's
right?
what I didn't understand, Jay. You're making a great point. I was thinking, that doesn't make sense to me, but.
And all the glass and stuff that gets thrown on it, yeah. Okay.
Right.
No, but I've heard that as well, that when the shredded material is in there, it adds to contamination. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this image on the left side with all the green, is that something we have access to edit, or did that come from JRM?
That's from JRM. That's from on their website.
So we'd have to get them to update it.
We'd have to get them to update it, or we could develop our own flyer that, you know, the town or the selectmen would have to approve.
Right. Okay, I guess if we start with the paper and cardboard business over here, we took care of the shredded. That's done. Hold on, how do I cross that out?
Because potentially we could take the JRM
logo off
PDF and leave it as is, but just add and create a new PDF with it inside with an additional page. And that first page would clarify items. I don't know if that would be helpful, but.
Some people don't read the second page of anything.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about paper here, I would want all the paper information in the same place. Do you know about the grease on the pizza boxes, Marianne?
So basically what she's, and that's what I asked her. She said if they were fairly clean, just remove the food and inserts and linings. That's how she worded it. Again, I can reach out to her because I am the one that reached out to her. I can say, what if there's, you know, grease or oil on the pizza boxes?
Okay.
That one is surprising to me because I had thought that was something that more often than not you couldn't control. So it's just easier that's why I thought that they said universally no. I'm kind of surprised that they're saying yes now.
That's what I thought too.
Maybe there's a differentiation between a store-bought pizza box where the pizza comes in wrapped in plastic.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, because I would imagine if you buy it from Domino's, it's going to be full of grease. They're not going to want it. But if you buy it from Market Basket, it would be fine.
Right, like a frozen pizza box.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I can reach out to her as well.
Okay, so if we're going to go with additional questions, I don't think that we had information about gift wrap, toilet and paper towel rolls, lunch bag. Well, I guess lunch bags would be brown paper bags, greeting cards.
Okay.
So we could ask about those things. I'll make them question marks.
And can you add under the greeting cards, can you add about pizza boxes, store-bought versus from the pizza shop, because what I'll do is I'll just call, I will almost like email that direct to her almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, greasy
I'll make
pizza
them.
boxes, no.
Yeah, because it says pizza boxes. Yes, fairly clean, but no inserts.
Yeah, I think that's probably takeout boxes, but it is very surprising.
Yeah. I guess I didn't even think of that. Like just when I asked her, I said, I always thought you couldn't do pizza boxes. And she's like, yeah, if they're clean, you just have to throw away the inserts. It's no food. So
Okay.
I will clarify that though.
Anybody else have questions to add about paper type recycling things? Okay, we can move on to plastic then. Okay, so plastics, the questions were, where is my font
Bigger
size?
font?
Yeah.
Bigger font,
well,
please.
I can't figure it out. Okay, we'll do this.
There we go.
Here, we'll do this.
Okay.
So it was the 1 to 7.
Where's this all gonna go? This is gonna be, you said this is gonna be posted on Facebook most likely, not mailed out?
It's not getting mailed out. It would be maybe on the website, maybe on Facebook.
Yep. So we take the existing document and add these as an addendum, maybe.
I could ask her when I have her on the phone, like, could they update it? Do they have an update? Is it okay if we clarified on this particular one? Can we, how like you can save a PDF as something else and then you can edit it?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want me to ask her that?
Sure.
Okay.
So if they're not updating, could they give us the editable?
What was
file?
that? I'm sorry, Bob.
If they're not open to doing the updates themselves for us, would they be willing to give us a file that we can update?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you move it back to the paper list, just, or at least let me see it just for another minute?
This one?
No, the left side of the green.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the plastic and metal and glass part. We had mentioned styrofoam is number 6 or something, but it is not recyclable, right?
Correct.
Right.
And there's no Pyrex, no drinking glasses, candle holders in the glass section. Was there anything else about glass?
No, but do you want me to ask about the colors of the glass? I wouldn't think so. I think it's just all.
It's here. It's clear, green, brown.
No, there we go.
Blue.
Okay.
One of the towns, when I looked at their website, they had a definition of the colored glass that they wanted green and brown.
Not clear?
Yeah, see, and this flyer says clear, green, and brown. So there's no red, there's no blue.
Mm.
Yeah, you got the word only there, so it's pretty strong.
And then there was the thing with no black plastics,
Right.
which is a surprise.
That is definitely a surprise.
Who knew?
Even if it is a number 1 through 7, if it's black, it doesn't go.
Mm-hmm.
That perplexes me because most restaurants use that as takeout containers, and I don't know, just that perplexes me for some reason. I understand that the machines can't see them, but it's such a waste.
It is a waste.
You talking black plastic bags or black containers?
No,
The
black
containers.
containers, like you go to like Longhorn or something and they give you a takeout container and it's a black takeout container
Right.
and that's recyclable and they
Not
won't take
accepted
it.
by JRM.
Made out of paper or styrofoam?
Plastic.
No, like the plastic, like if you go out for Chinese food and it comes like in a black rectangular and a nice
those,
plastic, plastic cover that snaps on.
Yep.
I guess my one suggestion with this flyer would be whatever we give the residents now, it's only going to be really for the next few months. So maybe keeping it a little more basic in case the next vendor says, oh, we, don't take number 5 and we do take black plastic or whatever. So we don't confuse everybody with the details too much. I just wonder if the next vendor might have different recommendations.
They probably will. So the goal is to get the 35% contamination rate down because we are paying for that.
Right.
And we'll probably have to go through this exercise again at the end of the year for the next vendor.
That's what I'm thinking. Because we still got 8 months. So, or we're hoping, right? To retrain people.
Right. I'm just concerned about I wonder if it's possible to come up with a final draft of this and then run it by 2 of the potential vendors and say, is there anything glaring on here that's different for you that was, versus
Great
JRM?
idea.
Because the more generic we can, if there's significant things that change from one to another, let's say the next guy says absolutely no pizza boxes, then we want to say no pizza boxes now, because those are the kinds of things that people are going to remember, and it's going to be real hard to catch them if there's differences.
I agree.
I kind of feel like education is going to be an ongoing thing and change is going to happen no matter what. And simple is true, but we can't possibly predict what the next vendor is going to allow or not allow. I think we're just going to have to deal with it at the time.
Well, I think that the effective way of getting that out is going to be Facebook, whatever Facebook medium we want to use, website or things like that. Just where it's just going to be quick hit information that's going to be in someone's. They'll see it, they'll look at it, and interact with it, but it's not going to be. I'm sure someone will hang this up and put it on their refrigerator, but I don't. I think that the ongoing education part of it's going to be what's beneficial. Just sort of a quick hit type, eyes on it for a couple minutes, and they move on to something else.
Exactly.
I think so too.
Yeah, I like what you did with the Amazon recycling thing. It's like, here, snippets of information and then repetition.
Yeah, it's just, just so that it's kind of there, but it's, they're just going to see it, move on, and like it, and then go on to the next thing. So it's, look at it as a working document, a breathing document, living and breathing.
Do we know what the recycling companies say the biggest source of contamination is? Because that could be a lot of what we focus on just during these next few months, like, getting the plastic bags out of there and rinse off your stuff. And
wet was one of them.
Make sure it's not wet.
Food too.
Yeah,
nothing,
food and wet were the biggest. When I talked to her, I don't know if it's on that piece of paper, but yeah, it's like if it rains and that gets wet, because there's, most people don't have covers, it's contaminated.
Yeah. Because if we can really focus on recycling more, recycling well, and then with some of the smaller details, when we get the next vendor and really gung-ho push out all the information that we know what you can and can't recycle, with the black plastic and the bottle caps and everything.
Yeah.
Potentially spring for a physical mailer for that one.
Yeah.
That they could put on their fridge, and then that'll be an opportunity to reset and say, anything, you forget what you did before, there might be changes, use this one.
Right.
Spend the money to have an actual mailer go out.
Yeah. And I would think that would be part of the RFP too. Do they give us, educational materials that we can mail out or put at the library and the town hall and everywhere?
And social media is so great because, again, you can say new contract, new recycling, check the website. So, and people will see that,
Yeah.
Okay, so the big thing is no plastic bags and shopping bags, no food, nothing wet, no styrofoam bubble wrap, the tops of the spray bottles, deli and salad plastic containers. They were actually okay if they have the recycling logo on them and they're not black, right?
That's what I understood, yes. I think she even says it in her email, the clamshells were okay, but not the plastic. I mean, not the black.
Copy paper wrappers. Hardcover books, 3-in binders. Yeah.
Does anyone have any interest in doing a field trip to JRM's facility?
I'd
I
love
want to
to.
go.
I know.
Whenever the pandemic's over.
Once we're all vaccinated,
Yeah.
no?
I know you mentioned that the last track committee did that, so he did that. I think it was Jim
Mm-hmm.
that he did that last time.
I would be, but I
I'd be
want some.
interested
I
in
want
that.
some compadres. I don't want to go by myself.
Right. I'd go. I think it'd be interesting.
I do
2
too.
months? Is 2 months enough to, but maybe you need an appointment, or maybe you just show up. I don't know how it works.
Let me ask her that one too. Can we get a what would we call it?
A tour?
Can we get a
An
tour?
informational tour.
So you would ask that to the JRM person?
Yeah.
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 Let's make that an action item. Jay, do we need approval from the BOS to go on a field trip?
As long as everyone gets their permission slips in,
It does
I don't
need
see
to
it
be
being a
posted as a
problem.
meeting.
Yeah.
It does need to be posted as a meeting.
Yep. So as long as you guys post it as a meeting, you should be okay to do that.
Because if we do that, we can specifically say, can you show us what the contaminants look like, just so we get a better sense of it?
Yeah, my question always is, all I could picture was all these trucks coming in and dumping it, and it's like, how do you know it's Plaistow that was contaminated?
Right.
That's the part that fascinates me. I don't know how they determine. Yeah, that's no good. Keep going.
We
I don't know.
heard about this with,
Maybe they can explain that when you have the
A
we have the
3-hour
tour.
tour.
Yeah.
we heard about this with Casella when we were doing our research a couple months ago, that they actually have a third party involved in that.
Ah,
That way, that makes sense, because then, neither the town nor the recycling company both have a vested interest. If you have a third party,
correct.
you can trust them. Whereas I don't know that JRM does that. So that might be a gap in their process
Okay.
that they don't have.
Hmm.
I have a question. Are we more likely to get a better contract with the new vendor if we reduce our contamination now? Like, is that what we're trying to do? Because it will help us with the RFP? Because residents might be more willing if they think the next contract's going to be cheaper because of it.
We're going to save money now because it's converted into trash and then we have to pay for it.
Okay. But like the new vendor isn't going to look at our contamination numbers.
There
won't affect
was
that.
in one of the contracts, there was a if you had a specific contamination rate, you were charged a higher rate. And I believe that was part of I think Casella's. Don't quote me on that.
I think you're right, Jake.
Not sure which one, but yeah, one of them, it said if your contamination rate was 20%, this is what you're going to get charged. If it's higher, there's it scales up. So
okay.
So some do that, some don't.
When Jim and I were doing that calculation to present, we used, when we were looking at JRM or Casella in particular, we didn't know what to use because they quoted like 126 per ton, something like that. But there were stipulations on it, and we couldn't quite figure out an easy way to calculate that because it wasn't a flat rate.
Right.
I think it was Casella. So we just
and you guys doubled it.
Doubled the rate, which was probably very conservative.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I think we probably could say, I don't know that they're going to give us a lower price if we say, look, we reduced our contamination rate, because they're going to say they're going to charge us You know, they're going to make it into the contract that they're going to get their money regardless of how much contaminant we have.
Okay.
So I don't know that there's incentive for them on that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think there's a big education piece with it that they will help provide. I know one of the people that presented said that they would, you know, that part of their, when they come on as a new, with a new town, they do a lot of education. So, and that's that particular vendor. I'm not sure about all of them, but. They might help be, you know, JRM in the beginning, they were very helpful with some of the education stuff. I'm sure they would still be helpful if we engage them. So.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions about the flyer, I will send it to Dee. Dee can send it to Marianne, and then Marianne can call GRM and clear some of those things up. So that means that we'll have to discuss it again next meeting and figure out how and what we're going to put on it.
Mm-hmm. How many people would be interested in going to JRM? Just so I can give her an idea.
Me. Bob.
Right.
1, 2. Myself would be
I'd
3,
be interested.
4, 5. So around 5 of us. Okay, because it might be, you know, again, with COVID, you never know what they limit it to, but.
Right. Well, if they only offer 2, then we'll pick 2 people.
Sure. Okay.
Who wouldn't go? Maybe that's the easier way to.
I know, right? Well, I didn't think all you guys would be up for it.
Is there anyone who's not interested? So how many of us are there? 10?
I don't think D and J would go, right? D doesn't need any more work.
I would definitely go.
Oh, cool. All right.
Says there's 11 participants, but that includes.
Richard's here twice, and PlaistowAccess is here.
Yeah. And
I would not be attending, but you do need somebody to keep minutes while you're there. Even if it just says you went, you saw.
We're going to take you hostage.
I charge, just so you know.
You like Cabernet or Sauvignon?
I make my own. You can't bribe me with wine. I make my own.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to just say around 10 of us would be interested. All right. Good.
But we'll take what we can get.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Marianne, since you're already speaking, do you want to then also update us on the waste zero? We were thinking about having somebody come talk to us.
So the last that I had spoken to, he had asked for a clarified list, which I sent to Dee. I haven't heard, and you might have sent it to me, Dee, and I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm knocked off, but I have the tonnage, because that's in one of those documents that we have. But what his 4 things that he asked for was the ton per year, the tipping, the recycling tonnage, and the number of households served. And he could come up with a analysis, and then he would be more than happy to talk to us. And again, there's no charge for that. And whether we use him or not, he would still do it. That's what he said. So I still need those bits of information, which if I got those 4 pieces of information together that I could send him, he could probably complete an analysis.
Give Beth Hossack a call at Town Hall. She could probably get it for you. She deals with them directly.
Who?
Beth Hossack.
Okay. All right. I'll reach out to her and see if she can't send me that paperwork. Because I think, Jay, the last meeting you had sent me, I think it was the tonnage. I'm still learning this vocabulary too. I don't know if it was the tonnage or the tipping.
The tonnage was sent out to you again today. The most recent tonnage was sent out today.
Yeah.
And tonnage is trash and tipping is recycling?
So let me share my screen. I can bring that up. So the tonnage is the actual, there's a tonnage for recycling and there's a tonnage for trash. And
you mean tippage?
No, tonnage. I'm talking about solid, solid tonnage that they're taking away. The tipping is the actual amount that's charged per ton. So let me,
So how many tons of trash do we use in a year? How many tons by weight of recycling do we have collected in a year? That's just a number by weight of either trash or recycling.
And what is tipping?
can you see my screen?
No. Oh, it's coming.
Okay. So here, this is the monthly report that we get, and it talks about for January, commingled is recycling, and this is tons, 56 tons.
Okay.
Trash is 272, and there's the total. Now, I believe we are charged $76 per ton for trash and recycling at this point. So the actual dollar amount would be, I can extrapolate that from the expenditures for the year. I can give you the total tonnage that we've paid for the entire year.
Okay.
Which would, and that includes the base rates, which is there's a base fee calculated into all of that. So, but you only want the tonnage, the number of homes.
Yep. That's exactly what he said. I don't see anything about like what it costs. It was tons per year, tipping, recycling tonnage, and number of households served. And he would do an analysis.
Right. So right here is 2020. Here's 692 total recycling tonnage and 3507 total trash.
Oh, okay. So that's probably all he needs.
Yeah. And then I believe you might have to reach out to Beth for the exact
number of households.
I believe the round number I have is 2,900.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Hey, I got a lot of homework. Don't volunteer me for anything else. And would we be interested in having him come to the May 13th?
So I think that we already have the NRA person possibly come speak with us, right? And
So
our meetings tend to run a little bit long. We could have a meeting just for the We Zero person. I wouldn't mind having, you know, an hour where, you know, whoever wants to listen in can do that. We don't necessarily have to vote on anything.
I think that's a great idea. Can we do that, Dee?
You can schedule a meeting anytime you want, as long as you post it. You know, we just have to post it.
All right. So actually, I could even ask him.
Let me clarify that a little bit more. And Dean is available to set up a Zoom for us. So we have to post it, and Dean has to be available to set up the Zoom.
Okay.
You do have it in your charter that your regular meeting is the second Thursday of the month, but you have the option of scheduling something on the first Thursday.
Okay. All right. And I'll leave that open up for him. I guess I would open that up to him saying, you know, what's your availability? We'd like to have a separate meeting, Zoom meeting, and you could go over your analysis and tell us what you think. Does that sound good?
You're looking to hold another meeting? I'm just listening in the background, and it sounded like you're
possibly. Okay. I'm gonna reach out to the gentleman that I've been in contact with for Waste Zero, who offered to do a free analysis of our basic community trash and recycling, and he'll do an analysis and then give us what he feels, how we can save on that.
Okay, if you do decide to do it on the first Thursday of the month, I might be limited in that, but if I can set you guys up in the background on a separate device and kind of like what we're doing tonight and just make sure that you're all connected. But yeah, I mean, that is kind of my Zoom rush hour, so to speak, with other multiple meetings possibly taking place around that same time. But I can set you up and then you guys can do your thing.
Okay.
Could you make me Could you set it up and make me an administrator? I use Zoom all the time, so I could.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
we run the meeting if you need to.
Yeah, we can do is we can set it up earlier, and then I can make you either host or co-host. I'll just double check right now.
I was going to offer the same thing.
Yeah, we
Dean.
have the ability at any time to change the host. So I can just load it and run it, because the only reason that it's on this particular account is that we have the webinar ability. So that's really the only reason that I'm setting this up. So I can launch it and hand off the access, Jay, if you want to do that, and then we can go from there.
I could log in early as well, either one.
All right, well, we'll see what his availability is. He might not even be available for Thursdays, who knows? But I will check.
Yeah, just, as always, Dee, just let me know what times you're looking at, and then I can double check on the calendar, and we'll be able to set something up.
I was going to ask if you were proud of me for remembering to make sure that was a point.
You did very good.
So there would be no agenda, no notes, no other business other than to call in and listen to the presentation. It would be a half an hour or an hour. How long would the presentation be?
Don't know. Gotta ask.
So it could be a short meeting. It could just be a half an hour, but if there's no other business,
yeah.
Do you even need to attend?
You've got to have somebody to take minutes, even if it's just to say there was a meeting and there was a presentation.
I could.
So if somebody else wants to do that.
Well, somebody could do that for you.
Yep.
And I think if we have a recording, if somebody can't make it because it's an extra meeting, you weren't planning on it, there'll be a recording, so you can always watch it.
Okay. And I'll ask him how long it takes to kind of go over a presentation, and I'm sure he'll say it varies, depends on how many questions people have.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back to you, Isabel.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to get more stuff on the website, but I just think going over any pieces of writing tonight would still take at least another half hour. And I feel like we've done our work for today.
Do we have to make a motion to end the meeting?
No, I would just like to go through the action item list and make sure that I've gotten everything. Action item I have for Mr. Kincaid is he's going to calendar himself to attend the Board of Selectmen meeting on 4/26. Ms. Lacasio's got a whole bunch of them. She's going to get back in contact again with Wayne Watches, is it, from the Raymond Transfer Station, and get the questions answered about that contract. She's going to speak with JRM about some of the issues on the flyer and whether or not it's possible for us to get a copy that we can edit it, and whether or not there's ability to take a tour of their facility, and also contact Waste Zero with the information that she now has on our trash and recycling, and to find out availability for a Zoom meeting.
And I said if Jay gets us on the agenda for Monday about the NRRA thing, that I would come and support him.
Okay.
And to bring something to that meeting, what did you say it was for the 26th for me, Dee?
I'm going to put the motions in all the motions that were approved by the board into one piece of paper for you.
Okay.
Just so pull them out of the minutes.
So we won't really need a presentation. That'll just be included in their packet, maybe?
Can do that.
Okay.
I think it would be good if you could embellish the motions with maybe some background on why we made the motions that we did, or you'll have talking points or something like that.
Yeah, so maybe Dee, if you can just grab, like you said, what we grab all and compile all the different parts from last meeting and this meeting, put that on a single sheet of paper and include that in their packet. And then separate from that, I might put it into a PowerPoint and embellish on parts, just so I have.
Well,
some-
I'll send it to you and you can, you'll have a copy you can work with, and I'll give the other copy to Beth to put in the board's packets.
Yeah. So, but do I, if I do make a PowerPoint with a little bit of more color, does that need to go in the packet, or can I just present that as additional
You
stuff?
Would need to email it to me in advance so that we can put it on the projector, because they have a projector at the meetings. So if you
Okay.
email it to me in advance, we can get it up on the screen. You can't bring in a flash drive from out of town hall to plug into the computers. We don't allow that. But if you email it to me, I can get it so that you can go on the screen.
Okay. Hopefully that'll be, I'll plan on doing that, but if not, at the minimum, the text of the decisions will be in their packet, so perfect.
And I'll pretty it up and make it, at the top, the track committee makes the following recommendations kind of thing.
Cool.
We'll make it look professional.
She's being professional. I'm being goofy. I'm like, tired.
I'm all set with the action items, if everybody agrees.
All in favor?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'll contact Bonnie at the NRA to get her information and make sure she can attend the next meeting.
Okay.
And I'll also resend you, Dee, her original email, because it sounds like everyone got the attachments, but not her actual email. And one of the contacts that Bonnie had put on there was the Merrimack contact. Is it okay if I go ahead and contact him? Because he just recently went through the RFP process, or is anybody already in contact with Merrimack at all?
Not me.
All right. Yeah, I'll give him a call, see if he has any recommendations for us.
Kelly, would you want to come on Monday as well? The NRA is kind of your baby.
I know I would like to go, but I don't think I can on Monday.
Oh, right. You said that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why
I know I should be there.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, I will double check my calendar.
Okay. Are we done?
And I'll let you know tomorrow if we're good to go for Monday. Okay.
Thank you.
And does that need to be an action item for Jay to make sure we get on the agenda for the next one? No. Okay.
It'll be done by the time you guys are... Don't try to make busy work for me now.
Dee, you're teaching a lot of us here, let me tell you.
Well, thanks everybody for your hard work again and for showing up and sticking it out with us.
Just need you to state the time you're adjourning the meeting, ma'am.
9:16 p.m.
Phew.